Welcome to the Family Photography Marketing Podcast, where we dive into the world of marketing and help you take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Fiona, a marketing expert with 10 years of experience in the family photography industry, and in each episode of this podcast, I'll be sharing my insights and strategies for successful marketing to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of digital and traditional marketing techniques. So whether you're just starting out or looking to fine-tune your marketing approach, this podcast has something for you. So join me and let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Family Photography Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about writing and talking about yourself. So writing and talking about yourself can be a very huge roadblock to spreading the word about your business. And a majority of this pushback comes from ourselves because we worry about the judgment of others. Once you decide that you aren't going to let other people and their opinions hold you back, you also simply might not know what to say when you are going to talk about your business. So in this episode, we are going to talk about two aspects of this to give some clarity. The first is the in-person introduction. And I want to focus on this because I really think, especially now in this economy, every photographer needs to be out and about in their community, confidently talking about themselves as a marketing strategy in and of itself. So the days of hiding online and just showing your work, I feel like are not going to be as effective. So this speaking confidently in a short, precise way about your business is called an elevator pitch. It's kind of an old school idea and it's been around for a long time, but I feel like over the past 10 years, it's been replaced with social media captions. The further we went through the years of the pandemic and the halt of in-person events, the less relevant this idea of an elevator pitch became. So I'm going to talk about a little history about the way that I used to talk about my business and then kind of what changed. So when I was at my last real job, which was, not real job, but non-self-employed job, was 13 years ago. It was a 9-to-5 office sort of environment. And I knew I wanted to be my own boss and try photography as a career pretty early on to getting my camera. So I wasn't new to business owning. I actually started my first business at 21, which was a kind of like a financial education company. It was called Newlywed University, and we taught financial classes to newlywed couples. But it went down with the housing and mortgage crisis, so I found myself at a desk job where I was a very efficient employee at a very inefficient company. And there I had a male boss, so this is reason number 4,300 that I'm not good at being an employee because I don't function well under male leadership at all. But this guy saw me as a very efficient employee who was getting interested in leaving to start something new. And he would, at every single opportunity, make sure to tell me that every single mom he knew was trying to become a photographer. And that it was a very silly, oversaturated market and no one was actually successful. So I left that job with this idea that this career I was taking on was extremely stupid. And when I would talk about it, I felt like a timid little mouse saying, "Oh, yes, I'm a family photographer," and nothing else. And even if this piqued someone's interest, because oftentimes the people I was talking to were other moms, I would shut down their questions and conversations and try to change the subject as quickly as possible because I felt this shame about what this job was. And I know that that is true for many photographers, but this is especially true when DSLRs first came on the scene, because there was this transition from it being like a job where you really had to understand your film camera to, well, now anyone can do it. And it was just a very uncomfortable situation to say that you were a photographer because there was this animosity for new photographers from within the industry itself. So that way of explaining my job in this very timid, shy, almost shameful way was obviously not helpful at all in terms of gaining interest when I met people. Once I was in growth mode and we as a family had that moment of, either I have to do this or find another job, I knew I had to figure out a way to talk about this work. So I got to work on the elevator pitch. And the reason it's called that is because you're supposed to be able to say it in the time it takes the elevator to reach your desired floor. So it's short and sweet. Here's a template. I am a, and then here you'd insert a descriptive / storytelling word, photographer who photographs, and then insert another descriptive word about your clients to insert your end product here. So here's an example. I'm Fiona, an adventurous family photographer who takes pictures of playful families in the most beautiful places in our state. So if we were meeting each other and I said that, as opposed to I'm a family photographer, you can see that the first one paints a nearly complete picture. It turns the right people on, and the wrong people are like, ew, that sounds awful. So that's perfect. That's what we want. Saying I'm a family photographer opens the door to every single human in a family to maybe think they could be the ones who might want to hire you. And then it will take your time and energy to actually weed them out. Let's say if they're looking for posed pictures at 1 p.m. at the local park, my more detailed pitch weeds those posed people right out. They are not interested in driving to the top of a mountain. So that saves time for both of us. So that's why it's really helpful. Not only is it a way to draw the right people in, it's a way that the people that aren't interested can just opt themselves right out of showing interest in it. And that is okay. So you want to use the elevator pitch to paint a picture. This picture, and you will probably notice this when I said my more descriptive one, plays in the mind of the person hearing you and helps you become more memorable and much easier to refer. If the person that hears my detailed elevator pitch goes on to meet a family who mentions, for example, that they love to hike, many of my clients are hikers, they might mention my business, but they're less likely to remember me if I had just described myself in a very, very non-descriptive way. So using these words can also be good in an elevator pitch. So if you want to switch things up a little bit, if you want to go more service-based, so you could say, I'm a blank photographer who helps blank achieve blank. So I just want to give you the template there so you're not stuck on the words I actually say, but here's an example of that. I'm a lifestyle newborn photographer who helps new parents capture snuggly moments in the comfort of their own home. When I say that, the picture of that happening plays in my mind and it plays in the mind of the person that you're telling. So actually play around with this with your own business. What are some good descriptive words? What are some ways that if you're stuck, you can look back through your own reviews? You can ask your clients, past clients, how they would describe your work from a client perspective if you're struggling to actually get these descriptors. But then the next step is to actually practice saying it. Even if you're alone in your closet or you don't, like I'm alone in my closet right now recording this podcast. So you could also be alone in a closet practicing your elevator pitch. The goal is that when we are all venturing out into the world, as we will need to do to spread awareness about our businesses, you want to be able to confidently say this. So you're not floundering and wondering what to say. You know what you're going to say and you say it confidently. And I can tell you from experience, it feels really good to have something concrete to say that paints a really, really solid picture of what you do that is not just, I'm a family photographer. And even if you don't work in adventurous places, you can still take something, even if you do work at local parks, you can paint that picture very clearly with a more descriptive storytelling sentence. So these pitches can then become the second part of the episode, which is the foundation of the About Me page on your website. As I mentioned on the website episode, we do not want to say something like this. I am a family photographer who likes tacos and drinks matcha tea every morning and has children, which if you were telling that to a person, they might be like, cool. But unfortunately, that is what a lot of your About Me pages sound like. The About Me is not about you. It's about how you help them. That is the foundational sentence. The elevator pitch can be broken down into informative and helpful sections that can go right onto your About Me page on your website. So let's break mine down. I'm an adventurous family photographer. What does that mean? What is an adventure session like? I can explain that right on the page. Next part, who photographs playful families? What does that mean? What do you mean by play? Paint a picture. Who are these people? Like what kind of families are going to be drawn into that descriptive sentence or that descriptive part of the sentence? Next part, in the most beautiful places in our state. Where? Show examples. Tell stories about these places. Now a person who came here to this About Me page because they're interested in these adventure sessions is drawn even more into how they can achieve this type of session with you as a photographer holding their hand. They do not care that you like tacos or you have a degree or what camera body they use. And sure, you can add in snippets in your About Me about little details about yourselves, but as a consumer, and this is true for you when you were in consumer mode as well, you care about you. You care about how you are going to achieve what you came here to achieve. So we can cater our copy to that truth. Your About Me should be a fun, interesting story about how you guide clients to a result with ease and trust. It doesn't have to be 7 paragraphs. In fact, a much more impactful About Me should feature your best imagery right on that page. About Me that I review I do website reviews or marketing reviews, many of them have no images on the About Me page at all, except maybe one headshot. While we know that 70% of people visit an About Me before buying. So it's a really, really important page and it's totally overlooked. If you were to look at your own consumer behavior, if you were to hire a family photographer, you know that one of the main pages you are going to visit before you book is the About Me. And if that page was all about the sessions that you had already fallen in love with and had more imagery drawing you into the brand right there on that page, that could push you into buyer mode. So that is why it is overlooked. So I want to keep this episode short and sweet because I really want you to take action with this. Let it roll around in your head for a bit, but then actually get out a pen and a piece of paper or open a blank document and start playing with the copy. Because so often we hear these episodes, we think, oh my gosh, I need to do that. But then time moves on, we get busy. This work is very, very important, especially going into the changes in the economy that we're going to be going into. You just have to be able to confidently talk about yourself and what you do. And what you do is interesting, but so often we explain it in a way that sounds so cookie cutter and boring. Okay, so a few exciting things coming up. I'm writing a 4-week marketing workshop for Unraveled Academy starting in May. So it's going to be really fun because you'll be able to work through the content and I'll be there to help you. I'll have more information about that soon. And then I'm also starting a very inexpensive subscription on my Instagram all about marketing with a focus on you guys actually implementing the things that we talk about here in the podcast. So mosey on over to Instagram and check that out. And I will see you guys next week.